Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's my pleasure to welcome Kulmeet Singh today. He is founder of Twistle by Health Catalyst. Kulmeet, great to have you with us.
Great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Before we begin in earnest, just tell us a few words about Twistle.
Twistle started out as a patient engagement platform, and it's sort of grown to encompass remote patient monitoring and other aspects of caring for patients at home or once they've left the four walls of the clinic or the hospital. And it's becoming much more of a comprehensive tool than what it originally started with in 2014.
Wonderful. Well, it's great to have you. Let's talk about shifts in care. As more care delivery happens outside clinics via remote patient monitoring, telehealth, hospital at home, and similar programs, what do you think will bring the most value? And what do you think will be most important to success for patient care organizations as they move forward in this important area?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. It encompasses a lot. I can tell you it's easier to answer what won't be of most value, at least what people are thinking of has most value. And we're finding that that's not the case. And that is, and as a techie, this might sound surprising coming from my mouth, but many health systems are getting enamored of technology, of the latest Fitbit or the latest Apple Watch, and this
shiny objects. Shiny objects.
Yeah. These are not going to. What we found, for instance, we just helped some physician groups manage large volumes of hypertension patients to get them to goal, and these patients, some of them had connected blood pressure cuffs. But some of them just had manual blood pressure cuffs. We just monitored over, I think, 500,000 COVID patients. Most of them just had manual pulse oximeters. So that's one thing that I know, just to, because oftentimes I get asked this, and progressive health systems are beginning to resonate with this point. Setting that aside, I think what's going to be most important is for health systems, health organizations to think about patient experiences comprehensively. With few exceptions, most health systems that I'm aware of, I'll give as an example, a cancer patient will go through imaging, surgery, radiation oncology, medical oncology, and each one of those service lines offers a different patient experience, sometimes with different technologies. Sometimes they are located in different parts of the health system, or could even be different parts of the city. So the health system is organized around providers, not with the patient's experience in mind. And then it gets even worse. Some of those patients will need a medical device, or a specialty pharmacy, or other therapies, and the patient has to navigate all those silos. So as you think of care outside of the clinic and hospital, this is an opportunity to think about comprehensive patient experiences. The other thing I would say is that the health systems need to think about the entire episode of care. Oftentimes, the surgeons will focus on the surgery or the telehealth visit. One senior executive at a brilliant health system said to me, the video visit isn't virtual care, virtual care being the care outside of the clinic. Everything that happens before and after the video visit is virtual care. And so thinking about the entire patient experience from, in the case of surgery, for instance, think about prehabilitation, getting the patient ready for the elective surgery, and then the follow-up care afterwards. So many times the surgery is successful, the patient goes home, and there's no one following up to hear, are you in pain? How's the incision healing? And then lastly, what I would say is, I am aware of several health systems, this is not the rule, this is the exception, that are actually beginning to deliver primary care directly to the home. This includes the lab test, phlebotomy. The pandemic has made it clear that we want our food, our groceries, and much more right to our home. So why not more of our care?
Yeah, exactly. And that speaks, Kulmeet, to the whole idea of healthcare consumerism. I have been in healthcare publishing for 32 years, and for 32 years, I've been writing about the empowered consumer, that the empowered consumer has arrived. But it does seem now that something has happened in the midst of this pandemic, related to what you were just saying. I mean, the entire world has experienced this pandemic. And one of the things that consumers in the United States have experienced is a lot of home delivery. So you see a book or a piece of clothing or a piece of furniture you like online, you order it, they ship it, it comes to your door, you expect perfect service. If it doesn't fit or there's something wrong with the product, you get sent it back. We do not have that in healthcare. What do you think the healthcare equivalent of that kind of empowered consumer experience will end up looking like? Because clearly it won't be the same as you bought a shirt or a teddy bear or a plant on Amazon. It won't look like that, but it has to look something like it for consumers to feel satisfied. What do you think?
Yeah, there are elements of that experience, the consumer experience, that are very important for health systems to consider. But I will start answering that question by actually pointing out something that the chief experience officer at one of these preeminent health systems put it to me in this way. She said, you can't really call patients consumers because patients are constrained. Their choice is constrained by their payer or their employer.
Yeah.
Consumers have true choice. There is limited choice for patients. And then there isn't really, even despite the recent efforts, price transparency. Patients really don't know what they're paying, whereas consumers know exactly. They look up the price tag.
Yeah.
And then the most important point she made, which was really thoughtful, was that in most situations when consumers are buying stuff, they're not in a vulnerable state like patients are. And so she was really asking me to think about, when you think about consumerism in healthcare, it's going to be different. Now, that said, there are some things like you have to deliver great patient experiences.
Yeah.
And what I understand best, I talked about the silos in care, going back to that breast cancer patient that goes to get radiology in one place and then has to drive across town to get their surgery, and then maybe their oncology in a different place. There should be a breast cancer experience.
Exactly.
Co-locating all the physicians in that experience. And some health systems are doing that. But beyond those kinds of things, I best understand the technology experience.
Yeah.
And think about, I'm taking care of my dad who has myeloma. And every time I need to do anything for him, I'm subjected to the portal. And I got to log into the portal. I need to do anything. And the portal is an extremely clunky solution. And even if it wasn't clunky, even if they made the user experience better, it's not the best way for patients to engage with the healthcare system. The healthcare system needs to start thinking about meeting the patient where the patient lives their digital life, not the other way around. And, oftentimes when I'll say this to a healthcare executive, a CIO especially, they'll be like, well, we can't have different experiences. We have to have everything in Epic. And I'm like, no, most consumers, we use WhatsApp, we use iMessage, we use Messenger. We have multiple messaging apps. And it's not like our minds are getting blown, right? We use Instagram. It's comfortable. You have to think about, what is the patient trying to do? Yeah, the portal does make sense. If I want to go look up my historical record, it's a perfect place to go. But don't send me there to engage with me. And I'll give you some statistics. Most health systems have very low patient engagement because they're forcing the patient into that Epic portal or the Cerner portal. Most of our clients are Epic clients, and then at Twistle, we obsessed about this. How do we get patient engagement statistics up? And for when the pandemic broke, one health system was using Epic to engage those COVID-19 patients. 10% of those patients were checking in with their symptoms once a day. They, one executive made the bold decision and said, no, we're not going to do this, and we're going to move to Twistle. 85% of patients are checking in with their symptoms. So it's a huge distance. I mean, I'm just giving you, I'm not trying to make a pitch for Twistle here. It could be other solutions. We just are engaging patients through SMS, through text messaging, through simpler ways what patients are used to. And so as you try to mimic the consumer experience, it's more of a mindset than it is specific tools. How do we think like a patient? How would we want to get engaged? I can tell you most of those folks who are deploying Soners and Epic EHRs don't want to be engaged through those tools. So anyway, that's my soapbox.
That it's a good soapbox. What do you think what should be top of mind for healthcare IT leaders? One of the things, as you know, we've been going through this transition. There are so many transitions taking place. It's mind-blowing. But one of them is CIOs in hospitals, medical groups, and health systems shifting kind of the way that they're framed. And what I mean by that is historically, the CIO was, as some CIOs will call it, an order taker, at a high level, but an order taker. So the CEO, CFO, COO, all the O's at the C-suite table would say, well, we need blah, blah, blah. We need hula hoops. So Joe, get us hula hoops. Well, what that's shifting to now, fortunately, is the CIO, she or he, needs to be sitting at the table from the beginning, first of all, and helping to shape the execution of the highest level strategies for the organization, rather than ordering hardware and software, right? As that happens, what should CIOs be thinking about what you just said in terms of where the marketplace is going and where the industry is going in order to provide a better patient experience? How should CIOs be thinking about this, and what should be top of mind for them?
Yeah, great question. I feel this may be above my pay grade, but I'll give you my input as to what I think are important. One is thinking about care holistically. It's not, as I said, the CIO should also be thinking about it from a patient-centric perspective, breaking down silos, thinking about delivering personalized experience, a holistic, comprehensive patient experience. And the CIO particularly is important for delivering personalized experiences to when we are in our most vulnerable states. Technologies that we confront as patients today, as I said, are anything but personalized, right? In fact, I'll tell you one thing. Health systems, and this has happened to me, will ask patients through their tech solution, through their EHR, how would you like to be communicated with? And then somehow when I get communications, it is as if they never even read my answers. And so what's happening is all this data is coming into the health systems, but they're not using that data in any intelligent way. Right. And so delivering personalized experiences by leveraging data, from the data warehouse, analytics, and then patient engagement, for instance, should be personalized differently based on how what data exists. And so there needs to be an integration between all these siloed technologies also. So that's one thing. The other thing that I think CIOs need to be at the table talking about how to reduce care variability and drive standardization. So this is something that the clinicians are very interested in. And the CIOs are obviously need to respond to that. Again, data matters. And so here is the interesting thing. You need tools to standardize care, but it can't be that you you handcuff the clinicians. They need to be given some options. I'll give you an example. We engage patients, for instance, before and after colorectal surgeries. And at our health systems, we have created standard care paths, but with some allowances for the clinician to make changes on their own. That doesn't change the overall standardization structure, gives them some flexibility. So you have to make it flexible, especially for surgeons that are in private practice, or they'll just take their care across town. And then how can you communicate in personalized ways? This is where machine learning, artificial intelligence comes in, a non-trivial task for many health systems, because every company such as ours markets artificial intelligence. It's in their marketing. This just happened to me about 3 weeks ago. A senior executive at a large health system said, Kulmeet, how do we sift through the noise? Because everyone's claiming that we can use machine learning and or artificial intelligence to personalize patient experiences. And what I said to them is, I'm also a small angel investor in healthcare, digital health. And I often get confronted with this, where entrepreneurs will say, hey, we have artificial intelligence. And there's an easy way to just separate the wheat from the chaff. You look at the founding team, at the senior team. It can't be somewhere buried in the organization. Is there anyone that has deep machine learning capabilities? And it can't be, by the way, a business degree. It has to be, they do a master's, a PhD in computer science, or do they actually have the people to deliver the hard problems that are required to be solved in artificial intelligence? The second part of that is, do they actually have a source, a credible source of data, an evergreen credible source of data? If those two things don't exist, it's largely marketing fluff. Yeah. So this is another thing CIOs can think about to separate out, what vendors are just, BSing them and where there is real. Of course, you should ask for and see the actual algorithms, but there is a very important role for automation and AI and machine learning and automating some parts of the healthcare delivery process, just because the clinicians are so overwhelmed.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely, Kulmeet. Finally, what does the landscape of the next couple of years look like in this area to you?
I think you're going to see some really, really cool stuff coming out in terms of automation. I've seen some of the state of the art in machine learning, speech recognition. There is some really hard problems being worked on right now. And I think you will see, for instance, this problem is going to be solved. And I think Microsoft Nuance, Sequera are at the cutting edge of that, where a clinician and a patient are going to be talking, and the EHR is going to get relegated to be the background as just a repository of information. What you're going to see, what Health Catalyst is, for instance, doing with leveraging all that data, combining the EHR data with, hundreds of other sources of data, not just claims, but many social determinants, combining all of that data to be able to do predictive analytics, to then engage patients in highly personalized ways. You would be engaged differently than I will. We already have the beginnings of that, case studies where some patients, depending on their social determinant factors, were engaged. This is pregnant women, where we saw better outcomes because the engagement with them took into account the social determinants. And even within that cohort, two pregnant women were not engaged the same way. They were engaged in highly personalized ways. And we're just scratching the surface of that. These are difficult problems to be solved. And I think the scope for artificial intelligence, natural language processing, machine learning is tremendous.
I think it's an exciting time. I do. For all the challenges that we have, I think it'll be an exciting next 2 years. So thank you so much, Kulmeet. This has been wonderful. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience has. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you for the opportunity. Always great to talk to you.
Absolutely. Have a great day. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you for viewing.